All right, man. So usually how I start the podcast is I ask your name, what do you do, and how many kids you have, and I guess their ages.
Cool.
So let's start.
So my name's Dave McQuaid. I am 44. I have 3 kids, 5-year-old, 4-year-old, and a little girl. So they're 2 older boys. And then I have a girl who's going to be 2 years old in October 25th. So coming up. So 1 year and 10 months or whatever, you know?
Fully
Or 11
loaded.
months, yeah.
Good for you. And what do you do?
I'm an investment banker.
What does that mean?
It means basically I find interesting companies or opportunities within capital markets, private markets, and I raise capital for them. So it's like brokering, but it's brokering companies to capital funds that are looking to deploy capital to like opportunities, basically.
Is it like kickstarting, like a program, like a Kickstarter?
Not that early, no.
Okay.
We're more like the companies that we focus on are sort of like between, I'd say like 5 million in revenue to like 50 million in revenue. They're growing quickly and they need to raise capital. They're not public, right? So they need to access capital from the private markets. And so the private markets, people don't know this, are actually bigger than the stock market, right? So you have these pools of capital, venture funds, private equity funds, family offices, et cetera, that are looking to deploy to like companies that are like growing quickly. And so we source and get introduced or get referred to companies that are growing quickly. That could be software, healthcare, fintech, like all these different industries. So we look for the guys that are sort of growing quickly. We grab them and basically act as the capital source where like, yes, a founder could do it, but like they should be building their business, not out like trying to figure out like what fund to go to, who specializes in what they're doing. So we do that for them and provide all the marketing introductory, broker the deal and, you know, get paid based on like doing that for them, you know?
Did you always know you were going to get into that?
Not really. I would say like coming up, I actually didn't know what I was going to do, to be honest with you. You know, I was sort of an athlete growing up and I figured out later, I think salespeople are born, sort of, you know what I mean? Like, so I did sort of, the minute I got an opportunity to sell, like for a business, I felt like, okay, this kind of would be my calling or is my calling. Just based on like, you know, half of it is like drive, persistence, like go-getter mentality. And the other half is like, you know, do people want to do business with you? Do you have the personality? Can you connect with people? Can you like solve a problem? Like as opposed to like shoving something down their throat, right? So when I sort of got that first gig of being a B2B sales rep, I knew that was my calling. Then it came down to like what to sell. So my grandma, I think she was a very inspirational figure in my life, like growing up. When I was selling office supplies to companies, she's like, stop selling pencils and start selling airplanes. That's what she said to me. And I was like, what do you mean? By the way, this is like sort of on her deathbed, right? And she's like, well, you're doing all that work, like the phones, the emails, the meetings, and what you're trying to sell like office supplies to these people. Like how big of a ticket is that? All that work and you're selling these low margin, crappy commodity products. And I'm like, good point. This is a lot of work for selling nothing. Like you're not going to make that much in commission, right? So from that day on, I was like, what's my airplane? And then I was like,
I like that.
yeah. So literally like the next few years, I was trying to figure out like, is it software? Is it med tech devices? What is it? You know? And then the aha moment happened when I met a bond trader in Miami visiting a friend for like a Super Bowl thing. And I met this bond trader and he was like explaining to me how these like sales and marketers that are like raising capital for funds are making huge commissions because you're moving around like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And that was my aha moment. I was like, okay, I got to figure out like how to get into that being that I also had studied finance in university, and that was it. I had to like figure it out, and I did.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So is it always commission based, or is it like a salary plus commission?
It's commission based. Yeah.
So like as a parent, does that scare you being a commission based?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what gets me motivated, keeps me going. And it makes me think like 5, 10, 15 years out as opposed to like the next year or two, like I have to be like thinking, like I have business partners, but we're always like thinking like years in advance. Like how does our like deal funnel look? How does our pipeline look? Like, you know what I mean? Like
For sure.
you want to build so much momentum that you don't really have to like
wait for the next paycheck.
Yeah. So like even like right now, like I'm thinking about like how like Q1 of 2025 looks. Because like this year, I think we've got it covered. Like the last few years, we've had good years despite like all this crazy shit that's going on in the market. But I'm literally like always like we always have like 5 to 10 opportunities that we're working on at once, and we're always like sourcing or monitoring or talking to like the next 5 opportunities that we'll take on like Q4, because you have to sort of like find the opportunities that you like, which means you got to look at a lot of things, and you want to like have the opportunities to take them on and take them out to market. So you got to like sort of prepare, whittle it down. So you want to be like way ahead, of sort of like what is here and now. So
Are your kids go to public school? Do they go to private school? Montessori?
So I did have them in Montessori like 2 years ago, but both my 2 older ones are in JK and SK at a public school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That helps.
Which is, I'm in the burbs, so like the schools are okay out there, like they're not, well, from what I think, they're not as exposed to like the things that I might not want them to be in the city,
Sure. So what does your day-to-day look like, including work and your kids? Like, run me through it.
Okay, so I have a stay-at-home wife. She actually doesn't have a driver's license.
Okay. So you're doing drop off and pick up.
Yeah. So I'm doing the wake up, drop them off. On the way, I'll probably like have done like a couple calls with like my partners or preparing the day or whatever. Drop them off. It's fine. Like she gets them ready, whatever. I just like take them to school. Like it's like 5-minute drive. Drop them off, and then boom, I'm like right on calls. I'm like on my emails, like doing all the stuff that I have to do. And then that's it. I'm just like banging out like 8 to 10 Zoom calls a day, like meetings.
From home?
Intros. Yeah, from home. Yeah.
Okay.
So I set up my basement for like all the like granular work that I have to do throughout a day, Yeah.
So how did COVID affect you?
I would say that it was actually an advantage for me because the norm became working from home. And I think everyone's sort of like conditioned now to like regardless of like who I'm talking to or whatever level, like working from home, working in your basement, having kids around, having a dog barking, it's like now the norm. So I would say like it was the best thing that ever happened for me personally and for my industry, like
Sweet.
Yeah, you no longer have to like go to meetings, be in a formal office, hop on planes, which by the way, like in my line of work, like when you're making an introduction, like you want to be as efficient as possible, meaning that like it's sort of like every mandate that we take on, my personal opinion is like you have to have made 100 introductions that are qualified and aligned to get the deal done. So if you could do those 100 without like hopping on a plane, schlepping around, Ubering to the, like all the better. I'd rather get through those 100 because like the minute like the group that likes the opportunity, like when they meet, it's going to take a life form of its own, meaning they're going to go meet the founder of the company or the CEO or like the management team. And they're like, it's going to sort of go from there. So like, it's not about me at that point. It's about them,
Fair
so
enough.
if I can get to that faster and more efficient and economically, all the better,
Cool. So then you work from home, and who does bedtime?
She's taken over that, which is good because they go to bed better with mom than they do with dad. They get hype with me. They want to watch videos. They want
totally.
learn shit. They ask me things all the time. I'm like, oh God, give it a rest.
So after work, do you feel like you're brain fried, or do you still have enough like emotional capital?
I definitely have enough emotional capital. As a matter of fact, like, even though like sometimes like I'll be doing calls at like 6 p.m., 7 p.m., like West Coast, this, that, partners, debriefing, planning for tomorrow, all that shit. I can like sort of plug out, even if I do have a periodic call like after 5, because as an entrepreneur, like you're always on, right? Like I'm fucking always on. But I can like sort of like taper off and on to like, I love to barbecue. I love to like throw my 1-year-old girl up and like, daddy, like I actually really enjoy like unplugging and plugging into like daddy mode, husband mode, like I'll go grab corn, throw it on the barbecue, like make it all nice. Like I love to like cook steaks and whatever. So I've been enjoying like that downtime and that outlet of like not only being about work, which I think is important, like balance,
So when you're unplugged, do you still think about work, or are you present? And I ask that because even like myself, sometimes I'm still working in my head.
I'm always working in my head, except on the weekends.
Okay.
Actually. So the weekends are huge. Like I may think about work like maybe 2 to 3 hours on the weekend.
Okay.
And there are times where like we're in hyper mode, like too many things going on where we will work on the weekends. But like generally speaking, the weekends for me are like, I'm so present.
Awesome.
Like
man.
I'll like start cleaning the house. I'll run errands. We'll go to Costco. We'll go to the farm. We'll go to the pumpkin patch. And it's like, it's nice. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's an important, like that's been something that I've really embraced, I'd say in the last like 2 to 3 years,
Do you ever hire a cleaner, or is
They're at my house right now.
Okay. Okay. How often?
Which is why this worked out perfectly.
Yeah. How often?
Get the hell out of there. So we, like the first 2 years, we had a girl coming that we like really liked. She was like good with the kids. Like we have a dog. Like they got along. Everything was great. And then she like went off to like teach or something.
Okay.
Like whatever. So she was like sort of in her mid-20s.
But like every day or once a week?
She was coming once a week.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we had a little bit of like not so good. So we let her go. And then we had 2 girls and they were like, okay. And then we let them go. And then I just found our new cleaners like a month ago through Z.
Okay.
His mom has been using them for like 10 years. They came through and like life changer.
Wow.
Meaning like decluttered, organized, laundry, towels, like it's not that we're like dirty.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
we're cluttered
for sure,
messy.
and dust, and just dust in
We have
general.
3 kids, dust and thing, and like
The reason-
laundry everywhere. Like they went to town. They like our house looks amazing again, and so I have them coming once a week now. Yeah, and I will continue to.
Is it expensive? It's expensive.
Yeah, but it's worth it.
Yeah,
Like my mom always says. So in my mind, I'm like, my wife is a stay home.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I think I battle myself where I'm like, you really should be cleaning, like, because you're not like driving the kids, you're not working, you don't have to pull in money, whatever. I have all that stress. But on the flip side, like my mom always says, like, it's not worth a divorce. Like
Totally.
100,000 in legal fees, splitting this, that, whatever, broken home kids. So I always have to like say to myself, like, it's not worth the battle. Like,
Okay.
why am I going to bitch at my wife about like laundry on the floor or plates? Like, either I'll do it or I'll just fucking pay the $200 a week to like avoid a $100,000 lawyer fee and a divorce in the future. So I find myself,
You pick your battles.
yeah, like I'm rationalizing like this is not worth like pissing off my wife and getting into like a whole tit for tat battle. I'll just pay for the cleaner and call it a day.
It's interesting. The reason why I asked is I spent like half a day yesterday cleaning up. And when I say cleaning, I'm like doing a deep clean. The amount of dust is just wild. And just things you don't usually, like baseboards and stuff. And I'm like, my whole half day is gone.
I know. So maybe it's worth like paying the $150.
Yeah.
Or do every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that means that I'm obviously not with them because they're, she has soccer and like baseball and stuff. So it's picking your battles, and I guess if you have the resources or not.
In your mind, you might be pissed, but it's not worth the fight.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
She's dealing with kids.
It's not even actually that. It's more like I would love to pay for someone to clean, but then you got to trust them with your stuff.
Oh,
and like,
that's
it's just
a big
another
thing
level
for me. Yeah, that's a big thing. Like that's why. So the new people that came, like I hadn't had a cleaner for like 2-3 months because I sort of wanted a referral, not like go on. Like my wife was like, oh, let's just go on Facebook and like find whatever. And I'm like, but I don't want like a random person coming in and I got jewelry thing. You have a ring. Like, I don't want to worry about any of that. So it was just like, okay, Z happened to have his mom who had these cleaners coming for 10 years and she vouched for them hard. And I like the fact that like, if anything, like I could pin it on them, like what the fuck's going on with these people. So I like that sort of connection.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. So who makes dinner?
So spring, summer, and probably fall, me. Mind you, like she'll pan fry beans, like green beans, or like she does the veggies basically, and I do the meat because I like to barbecue. I like to be outside as much as possible. Living in Canada, you got to like take advantage of that. Of
course.
So I'm the one who will throw the steaks or the fish or salmon or whatever on the barbecue.
So do you cook and then freeze it, and every day take something out of the freezer, or you?
Yes. So I do take things out of the freezer and plan sort of the day of. I'll like, okay, like, what are we doing for dinner? And then I'll like pull out like whatever. And like, I sort of have like, we have 2 freezers and like another. We have like,
I'm jealous.
We have like 4 freezers.
This guy's got 2 freezers. I got the most dinkiest freezer in my condo, man. And we can't fit jack shit.
You need a chest.
Like I'm telling you, it's just like, it's crazy. And that's the thing, even like having like frozen chicken, I buy in like a little ball. You can't fit anything. And it's just chaotic.
Yeah, you need the freezer space. But so I'll pull things out of the freezer and you know, it's, I mean, we're not that complex, right? Like we're doing chicken, steaks, fish, salmon, shrimp, whatever, like, right? And so I'll sort of take care of that and barbecue it because it's like, then you don't make a mess in the kitchen. Sure. It's easy. We're enjoying the outside. I like to barbecue. That's my like outlet in a way. And then I'll do like the corn on the barbecue or like we'll chop up the red peppers or I'll like sort of throw it on or the asparagus, throw it on, like whatever, you know?
Like, are you adopting, man? Because this sounds pretty good, man. Like, honestly, they're very lucky. How about your kids eating? Like, do they finish their food and how do you treat that?
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. Yeah. Like our second oldest boy, like he eats everything and anything. Our oldest boy, like I think he's a little pickier, but he'll still eat whatever we put on there. It's just, I think I got a little pissed off with my wife that like it's like we're the servants.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want? What do you feel like? Do you want this or that? Like she sort of gave him too much of an opinion to the point where like I think he's like a little pickier than our second and certainly Charlie, who's like will eat anything, or our little girl. But it's not like spoiled or wasteful. It's just he's a little pickier. Like I don't want that, or I want that, or whatever. So we try to accommodate the best we can. But I think I've slowly like nudged her to like, yo, if we were like in the Philippines, these kids would be eating whatever the fuck we put on the plate. Right? So let's stop with that shit.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Let's calm down a little bit, you know?
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 3 kids. I guess the first question I'll ask is, how different is it having a boy than a girl? Because a lot of my guests are like girl dads, and I need to know.
I haven't, honestly, like everyone says, oh, like the girl would be different. Like your heart will melt, this, that. I haven't experienced that yet, to be honest with you.
She's 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's turning 2 in 60 days, like October 25th. I don't
It will happen now.
Difference.
It will happen at this time because for me, the best time with my daughter was basically 2 to 3, where I just started noticing all these extra
differences.
Stuff.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything. Like to me, she's just like chasing Kel. Like I tease her. We play boo, like we do things like that. I've conditioned her to like, you know, Halloween's coming up, so I have like all these like spooky goblins and things. I already have them out. And I'm like, I'm showing her like, you don't have to be scared of this, you know, like whatever. So like, she's not. I don't notice any meaningful differences yet. Okay. In terms of like is she acting a certain way or or like responding a different way or doing different things. Nothing. I haven't noticed it yet.
So
Nothing.
then how is it like having boys for somebody who doesn't have boys?
It's cool, man. Like,
Yeah.
Like I definitely love having the boys. Like, and to me, like Charlie's just like the boys, so it's like weird like that. But, I think to your point though, like I'm noticing, like I'm sort of embracing, like we will literally go in the car and I'll put on like "We Dem Boys" by Wiz Khalifa, and they'll be like "We Dem Boys," you know, like we're starting to get in that phase where they're like realizing like Dunk and Michael Jordan, like they're like sort of obsessed with all that stuff now. So I'm like really bringing out that man bonding, like let's go watch the baseball game, let's go dunk, let's go listen to Wiz Khalifa and go to Baskin Robbins and like grab some ice cream. Just the boys though, you know what I mean? Like, so we're doing that now. Yeah,
that's pretty cool, man.
It's cool. Yeah.
So do you ever think what they're gonna do when they're older, and do you feel like you are, setting them up for what you think they want to be or what you want them to be?
Yeah, like I wouldn't say that I'm like force feeding anything on them. I'm taking the approach that like I'm sharing a lot with them. Like they love like they've known how to like go from Mercury to Pluto since they were like 2. So they love like planets, they love outer space. I've been explaining to them like we're on Earth and like we live here, and so they know their geography, they know the planet. So I'm teaching them a lot of like science, and my 5-year-old's been reading since he was like 3, like just as much as you can. But at the same time, I'm like, by the time they grow up, like who knows, like they might have, like I was saying to your buddy, like Neuralink in their brain where they're like connected to the internet all the time. You don't need to learn shit. Like, will it even matter? What will university degrees already to me are like worthless, right? Like you're paying all this money for a piece of paper that everyone has and no one cares about. I think it's just like a qualifier nowadays. It's like high school. But, so I'm not like force feeding like subjects or math or science on them. I'm just exposing them to it. And like, I think it's a benefit and a beauty to just know about it all. And then on the flip side, I'm 6'7", I played NCAA basketball. My wife's 5'10". So like, I definitely have like a ball in their hand, but I'm not like the ball brother, like, you got to take 500 shots a day. I'm like, no, shoot, like see if you can hit 50. And if you do, like, I'll give you a treat. Like,
there you go.
Started doing the bribery,
Yeah.
So and then I have them in basketball, and we're going to start baseball next year. We tried the soccer thing, but I don't think they were that into it. So I think like basketball and baseball are kind of going to be the moves.
Cool.
Yeah. So sports, which by the way, I think like when I look at myself, like I think when you have drive and you're like coachable and you're like a teammate and you're disciplined and you're fit, like these are all tools that I think are very applicable like later in life, like off the court. Like if you pursued it and can go somewhere with it, I think it's a differentiator. It's interesting to people when you go to meetings and like, oh, like, by the way, you played NCAA. Okay, that's memorable. You were able to do like academics and athletics and accomplish something. And B, I think like that drive that you had in that can be applied like off the court, like in life, right? Like maybe in sales or marketing or starting something or building something. Like you do, I think you're just more than like, it's sort of like mentality, So that's why I'm like err on the side of like getting them into sports, getting them to be driven in that regard. And then also like science, math, all that stuff I think is handy at a minimum, So
that's pretty cool.
That's
man.
how I'm looking at it. Yeah.
So do you have like any, like what, do you have any challenges as being a dad, or just tell me your experience as a dad in general up to the ages of, you have 5, 2, and the other one is 8?
5 years old, 4 years old, and then 20 months.
Okay.
So 3 under 5.
Up to now, how has your experience been? And obviously, you're going to say it's been great, but like, what are some of the things you could tell and share to others that are not maybe fathers yet, or what to expect, or just, something memorable that you've experienced?
I mean, like on a like from a broad perspective, like I'm 44 and I had my first when I was 38 or 39 or whatever, you know? So to those that either want to be fathers or are thinking about it, like I would say like never feel rushed. You know, like when I look back on my life, I'm like, it would have been cool to be a young dad, but I think it's cooler to be an older dad actually. Not old, but like older. Why? Because I'm very like settled at peace. Like I got all my shit set up and established. And like I met my wife at a good time. Like I didn't feel like stressed about it. I felt at ease about it. You know what I mean? Like, not to say that like I don't feel pressure, but I think like I wouldn't have been able to do what I'm doing now in life if I'd like done it when I was 27. Like what I've like gone out, started going all commission, like partnered up, like moved to a new city, like all this stuff that I did, like I wouldn't have done that. Like if I'd like sort of started a family at a younger age. So I think you got to sort of like take your shots, try things, fuck up. It's okay. Like you can do that when you don't have kids.
Yeah.
So make sure you've done all that stuff, because once you have the kids, like it's a lot harder to like start something, do something, try something, fail, fuck up, because like now you have like mouths to feed, a wife, and like bills, you know. So I mean, that's the only advice I'd say.
Yeah.
Like looking back, it's like I'm glad like I sort of waited and met my wife when I did at 38, because I was able to get all that fucking shit, all the fuck ups, all the establishment that I needed to do out of the way.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks, yeah.
And fitness, are you still in it?
I've gotten back to it.
Yeah.
Yes. Which is like, so the other thing that I was mentioning about like shutting off on the weekends and trying to do the best I can to do that, and enjoying all the little things like, you know, barbecuing thing, going to homes and setting up the Halloween. Like we're very like festive, you know, like we'll do the whole Christmas, like we'll set up all that stuff every season. Like we're running out of storage, but we have like bins of shit. So I try to be like very into like unplugging and like going hard at Christmas, going hard at Halloween, like all these things we go hard at. That comes to balance, right? Like work hard, but play hard with the kids, like play hard with the wife, like do the festival shit, and also take care of myself. Meaning unplug, go to the gym, take your time, do your weightlifting, so I'd say like the last year I've been able to like incorporate that into my life. And maybe that's because of the fact that like I don't have like a 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and a newborn. I'm not like running to the hospital with like, you have to have your bag ready. Like I'm not in that phase anymore. They're like, we're like settled. They're like all okay. Mom can take care of them if I need to, and I can take my hour or two to go to the gym. Yeah?
So your wife's a stay-at-home, and I'm assuming that means no daycare.
No daycare.
I wonder how different your life is in terms of not getting sick. Like, have you gotten sick a lot?
We've had COVID 3 times.
Okay.
All of us.
How was that?
I had a sore throat the first time. And then the last 2 times it was just like, I think the last time I didn't even know I had it, but they did. So it was like, it was okay.
Still able to work?
It's like a cold. Yeah. Flu. Yeah, I was able, like maybe I took a day. Like I took like 2 or 3 days off the first time. The last 2 times, like it felt like a cold, you know?
Do you ever feel a lot of pressure being like the breadwinner and everyone relying on you? Because
all the time.
Yeah.
That's what like drives me. That's why I'm always thinking like 5-10 years out, not 1 year out.
But
you know?
But even like, let's just say you getting, you know, if you're sick, because like for me, I read this thing is you every day you think about all the problems that you have, but when you're sick, you only have one problem, and that's the only one you think about. And every time I get sick, I'm like, oh my God, because you think about, oh, I have kids, and you know, and all that jazz. So I was just kind of wondering.
No, it's on my mind, man. As a matter of fact, my mom's after me to like set up the will. And
yeah.
You know,
so you haven't set up a will yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay. My parents really made us do it right away. We just finalized it recently. You know who does wills? Kavina. That's where we went. She member at Fit Factory.
Yeah. I need to do that.
You have to. Yeah.
Because you never know, right? Like car accident, like anything can happen, right? But I guess I need to stay alive.
They're complicated too, man.
Life
oh yeah, totally. How much time do we have, Graham?
We have 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. We have 30 minutes left.
We're making good progress here.
Okay.
Making good progress.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I use this podcast to kind of share people's experiences and like,
Of course.
so I'm trying to expand and like not ask the same questions. So I don't know if you have a set of things that you can tell me. My daughter's 3, so I can only go up to 3. But having a 5-year-old, is it like, I don't know, anything cool you can tell me? Any tips you can give me as a dad?
Not really. I mean, like he's. I think we're lucky. He's just really receptive, well behaved, like rational, good with his younger brother and the little girl especially. Like he's like gentle, sweet, thoughtful, caring. Like I said it again, but he's just a good. He's good. So I'm not. There's no like battles yet.
Yeah.
I'm not like fighting him or having to deal, but he definitely has an opinion though. He's more opinionated about things, but it's not like a battle though. I think our 4-year-old's actually harder than our 5-year-old, meaning like he just says no, and he sort of has his own like he gets like angry more, and personality wise, I think he's a bit more of a challenge. Are you like coming on in the last year from 3 to 4?
So are you like what kind of dad are you? There's some who will like pretty strict and like give the eyes, and then
only if I have to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like I've noticed that with our 4-year-old, who's a bit more opinionated, gets a little bit angrier. He's just this like brute, like no, like he'll just give me that. No, I want whatever. Whereas our 5-year-old can be reasoned with a bit more. But I've noticed that with my 4-year-old, like sometimes I have to be firm if it's serious. Other times, if I just say, "Kel, come on, help daddy out," or like for instance,
do me a solid.
He locked me out of the house, and I'm like, I was tempted to be like, "Let me in. What are you doing?"
Open the goddamn door.
But I was like, can you let daddy in? I have a treat for you in the car. Like, and he's like, "Okay, daddy," and he turns back into a baby. So he responds well when I sort of calmly or just like daddy to baby. Like I sort of have to baby him at times to where he then becomes like gentle again. So I don't know. It's like a bit of frequency with him, you know?
That's interesting.
Rather than yelling back.
Apparently it doesn't work anyways. Yelling at your kids shuts off whatever they have in their head. And
so sometimes I'm like, Kaylee, come on, help daddy out. And then he'll be like, okay, dad. He turns into a baby. That's from a 4-year-old brute, like, no, to like, okay, dad. Like, okay, so it's frequency, you know? Yeah.
When's the first time they were ever able to like watch TV and stuff?
Oh, like my wife got mad at me for showing them screen time at a young age.
Okay.
I think they learned a lot from it. I was only showing them educational things.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's how they like learned like the planets and things. So I'd always, and I also told my wife, I sort of interacted with them while it was on. Meaning I would like go in front of the TV and see that's Mercury. Like I would sort of like use it as a tool in teaching, and like they look at me as I like said the words and stuff like that. So I made sure it wasn't just like.
I love that, and I've never heard anyone ever say that. No? Usually, people turn it on to kind of give themselves a break.
Yeah.
Kudos to you, man. That's really awesome.
I guess maybe I enjoy it too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Learning, like now I know all the like dwarf planets, like the exoplanets. It's like kind of interesting, but. And maybe I'm like a kid at heart, but no, so anyways, yeah, like they were watching TV like in doses, you know, an hour here, an hour there, or whatever. And, it was nice because it also like they calmed down.
Yeah, totally.
So now we have like movie nights, and, you know, we have a projector and screen in the basement, and I get popcorn and like we do it up.
Sweet.
You know? It's like nice.
Do you have like date nights with your wife outside of the house?
Unfortunately, not yet. We've been talking about it though.
Why?
I have a running joke with her where I sort of call a date, like me, like going and getting like the food she wants and bringing it home, and like the kids are in the basement, Charlie's asleep, and I'm like, I'm dating you. It's a date. And then other times it's like we go to Costco. She enjoys going to Costco. The kids love getting samples, whatever. And I'm like, so the night before I'll be like, we're going on a date tomorrow, and it's like Costco or Home Sense. She loves going to Home Sense. So I've like sort of jokingly like called those dates, and like now she sort of like considers them dates. so we make dates out of what we're doing.
So why is it hard to go on a date? Do you have like support from your family, her family? I don't know the dynamic or situation there.
I think because we had the 2 boys and then had Charlie, which we weren't planning to do.
It's hard to find even someone who wants to take care of 3.
Yeah, A, 3, and B, like the first 12 months, like, am I really gonna have a babysitter?
Sure.
And like the baby's crying, breastfeeding, like there's too much going on.
Okay.
And then we just haven't like migrated. Now we could, but we just haven't like migrated out of that mode of having like the 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and a newborn.
Okay.
Now they're 5, 4, and almost 2. Like, so I've been actually planting the seed of like the girls that come and clean our home. Like one of them's like sweet, like cleaned out our fridge, like everything was perfect. Like the green onions were laid out perfectly. Like everything was done nice. And the girl who brought her, who does Z's mom, was like, she's getting divorced, and she wants to be around like really nice people, and she loves like your home, your family, your kids. She wants to like, if you ever need a babysitter, and she's like close by.
Awesome.
So I said to my wife, I'm like, we could, that girl who like did all, she's really nice and sweet. Like she's probably in like her early 40s, but she just has that like beautiful vibe about her. I'm like, she's willing to come like babysit for us, so we could like actually date. And she's like gets excited, so it's in the cards.
So you're planning.
I'm working on it.
That's pretty cool.
I'd like to like be able to actually go out for dinner, take her wherever, like do some fun stuff, like do all that stuff.
It's life-changing having kids, eh?
Totally life-changing. I mean, the last 5 years, having like 3 back-to-back, essentially. Look, I mean, I dated my wife for 4 months, and then boom, pregnant.
How did you know she was the one?
Then we got married.
How is it that like it just worked out?
I think with her, like I was very at ease, meaning there was no agenda for either of us. So like 1 month turned into 2 months, turned into 3 months, turned into 4 months, to the point where like a date would go 3 days.
Cool.
And then I always joke around with her that like she trapped me. I don't know whether I trapped her or she trapped me. It was like one of those things. But leading into the pregnancy, like she had been at my house for like a month and hadn't left. Mind you, we never had an official conversation as to like where the standing is in the relationship.
Are you still here? Like I'm kidding, like as if like she's not leaving.
Yeah. But yeah, they literally like I actually joke around with her about that. I'm like, I say sometimes I come out of the shower and be like, "Oh shit, you're still here."
Yeah. So you're gonna still be here tomorrow, right?
I loved it though.
Yeah,
She's
kidding.
like tall, hot. Like if I could like flesh out the perfect girl, it's her.
Awesome.
The long black hair, the racial ambiguity. She's like mixed with a bunch of stuff, and like tall, like there's all the characteristics I like, but then also just she wasn't a girl that like wanted to go to fancy restaurants. She'd be cool going wherever. She didn't want fancy things, and she still doesn't. She's actually all about like the kids and practicality.
That's awesome.
But she's hot, so it's like the way she thinks and operates, it doesn't match her look, which I love. I love that in all people actually. So, boom, like
amazing.
Got the text one day, she's pregnant, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's come over and talk about it. And then we actually didn't talk about it for like 3 days. Even when she came to the house, we like hung out and did our thing as if we were dating for 3 days and didn't even broach the topic as to like, what should we do with the kid, being that we've only dated 4 months and you're now pregnant. And then, one morning, like she'd been crying like the second or third night. And I'm like, why were you crying last night? And she's like, oh, her dad had passed away at age 59. of cancer. And she's like, oh, my dad appeared to me in a dream, like holding a chopped up baby. And I'm like, we should keep this kid.
Yeah.
And that was it. We kept her now 5-year-old.
How much of an impact does like the passing of her father have on you?
So I didn't meet him.
Okay.
I met her right after he had passed away.
Got it. Okay.
I think maybe like I was the right person at the right time for her, because it's funny because like she says I'm very much like her sister, and I get along with them and her husband really well. Like him and I vibe. And then there's things that I apparently do that are very similar to like what her dad does. Like, you know, when like Backstreet Boys comes on in the car, like I'll go sing like crazy.
Yeah.
Like I'll be the over the top like karaoke guy. Or like when beats come on, like I'll like hum all the beats and like the bass, all the shit that like you're a DJ, like you hear these sounds or whatever. And she's like, oh my God, you're so annoying, just like my dad. You know? So I think like it's just that vibe.
That's really
so,
cool.
So I think maybe I was the right person at the right time. And she was probably going through it. And maybe I was like there for her at that time, you know? And then all that stuff happened, as I mentioned, with like her getting pregnant, and then like her dad appeared to her in a dream. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm 38. You're hot. I'm ready to do this if you are, but like, you know, woman has a choice, and I don't have an opinion on that politically, but in my mind, I'm like, I kind of don't want to do that. Like, like if you have a baby in your tummy, like let's figure this out. But at the same time, I didn't want to force that on her. And that morning she was like, she had been crying, and that happened. And I'm like, let's keep the baby. And then boom, put the ring on the finger a month later, married her, 8 months pregnant. I had the wedding at our house.
Oh, cool.
Here we are, like 3 kids later, you know? So it happened. It was all organic, which to this day, like we obviously like have our occasional fights, but our fights aren't blow-ups. They're just like, we're annoyed with each other. We voice it, and then neither of us hold grudges. Like we'll just go on like, let's just get over it, you know, like whatever, like life's short, you know, we're going to die. Like, why are we holding grudges?
Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. Like if you zoom out, like we're going to die. Why the hell are we like fighting, bickering, holding grudges? Like this is bigger than that, you know? So. Yeah.
Do you splurge less now that you're a father?
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like literally haven't bought anything for myself in like 3-4 years. And when I do, it's like, it's pretty special, you know? Right now, I'm like shopping for like, I'm actually shopping for like a big time like camcorder.
Cool.
Because, you know, we use our phones a lot.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, these are like really special moments while they're under 5. I want to get like really high quality. And I want to make sure like I'm just not reliant on like Apple Cloud and the phone.
Okay.
And what's in my phone. I want to also have like actual like other high quality copies like on hand. I have a GoPro too, but like,
Sweet.
But like, you know, like these are the things I'm shopping for, like capturing the moments, like documenting things, like.
So 2 things. A, I use like Google Drive. So I use my iPhone, and then I just transfer it to Google Drive, and then eventually on my hard drive.
I need that.
But I bought these sick glasses from Amazon, and they have a camera. They're not like those Ray-Bans that only do like, they do like 30 seconds, like for Snapchat.
No, I need more. Yeah.
This one will do 10 minutes. And it's cool.
I gotta look that up.
Yeah,
because it's like organic then.
Yeah,
you just put
so
them on,
you put them on.
You're not like consciously doing it.
They look a little cheesy. Yeah. They look like kind of like Oakleys or something.
Care, yeah.
But it's like first person. Like you can pick up your daughter, and it's just a really cool aspect.
Like that's why I bought the GoPro. But then the GoPro, like it's like clunky.
Yeah,
put the helmet on.
Yeah,
I'm not really gonna do that all the time, you know. So like I do carry it around a little bit, but you still gotta like think about it. I like that.
Yeah, and it was
seamless.
It was like $100. You put an SD card in. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. What's it called?
It's some no name.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link.
Yeah.
The link.
So it's pretty cool, man. But I agree with you. Like capturing these moments. What I do for Christmas, I'll set up a camera that's just running.
Yeah.
When we open up gifts and stuff like that, it's kind of cool. And then over
that's
the
amazing.
years,
what
you'll
do you
just
mean? That's like amazing.
So that's fun.
But yeah, so splurging, no, man. Like everything I have is like from like that era of being single. Like,
yeah.
So I actually do like hoard all my clothes and jackets and things in sunglasses, all this
Totally.
stuff that I value those a lot because in my mind I'm like I'd rather spend the money on like the house, the kids, experiences, capturing versus like myself and looking cool. I don't care anymore.
As a like family of, I guess, what are you, 5?
Yeah.
Family of 5. How is vacation? What does that cost
I haven't
you?
done it yet.
You guys haven't gone. Okay, so you haven't experienced flights yet.
No, we're trying to figure that out now.
Us too. We haven't been on one.
If we do though, it's all inclusive. I'll tell you that.
So is it because you're scared to fly, or is it a monetary, like financial thing, or is it just not a good time?
Last year was not a good time because of Charlie being like
Okay.
8 months or whatever. We're like, how will she be on a flight? Like, do we need a car seat when we land? Like that. Like I didn't want to like figure all that out.
Okay.
Whereas now, being that they can all, and by the way, like once you get there, like crawling, walking, like baby gate, like the food, like it was way too much to think about.
Yeah.
Now, with her being almost 2 and the boys are like 5'4", walking, cool. You can talk to them. Like yesterday, we went to Ivan's Penelope's birthday 5.
Yeah.
And like it was great. Like we can park and like tell them wait. Okay, cool. Let's walk now. Boom, like because cars parking on the ground. Da da da. Walking up the stairs, like everything's smooth now. They can be reasoned with. They know what's going on. They know not to cross they're not going to run onto the road. Like so, we're now at a phase, especially with Charlie. Like it's fine if you hold one or you hold her hand, which she'll walk and you hold her hand. Now I think we're ready for the flight, the thing. Like we don't.
Cool.
So last year it'd be like, how the hell do we get from like the parking of the airport to the plane? Like boom, boom, boom. Kids are running thing, luggage, like da, da, da. Oh my God, what a nightmare. How are they gonna be on the plane? When we land, like, do you need baby seats? Like you know what I mean? What do we do when we land? It's like a nightmare, you know? Now I'm like, okay, this could work, but I'm still all inclusive.
Okay.
Because
totally. Yeah.
I don't want to cook.
Airbnb, got to figure out
around
everything
and-
out.
yeah.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, so
It's pretty crazy.
we'll do like Jamaica all inclusive, like Rio or some shit. Keep it easy.
What's his name is going to Jamaica with Nash, who's very young. Kurt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
He was there yesterday.
Yeah,
at the
we'll
birthday.
ask
It
him
was
how
great.
that experience is when they're done. That'd be funny.
But yeah, we are ready, and like I'm actually literally talking to my wife about like when should we do it, like January, February, like we'll figure it out. You know?
Cool. Okay, I know we have like 9 minutes, so usually I end the podcast with 2 questions that I ask everybody.
Cool.
First one is, if you could have somebody here as a guest, like who would you think would be a good person to have?
Oh, like who'd I recommend you interview next? Good question, actually. You know, like a couple weeks ago, I met Ben Mulrooney, Brian Mulrooney's son.
Okay.
He's a very interesting person, and he now goes to Fit Factory with his wife.
Get out.
And you know, he was actually a TV personality, which I didn't know. I showed up to this like meeting. I'm working with this company based in Ottawa that's like growing really quickly. He's on the board there. And the founder of the company is like, hey, I'm going to be in Toronto from Ottawa. Like, can you meet me? And I'm like, of course. Like, boom. Like, so he's like, okay. And he like texted me the address of where to come. So I just like showed up like to meet him. And then like, you know, I like, it's this beautiful home just north of Rosedale. And I was like, whose house are we at?
Yeah.
And he was there and he introduced himself and I didn't connect it. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, Ben, you know, Ben Mulrooney, whatever. And then afterwards, I'm like, was that Brian Mulrooney's son? And Alok's like, yeah, that's Ben Mulrooney. And then I Googled him. He's like a big TV personality, like da-da-da-da. I'm like, very interesting. Like he's an interesting person, very extroverted, like outgoing, charismatic. Like he's sort of coming out of the TV personality world and like kind of getting involved in like joining boards, being like an influencer for like companies that he gets involved with, like that type of thing. So I think he'd be interesting.
So you're gonna put in the word for us.
Definitely.
All right.
He'll do shit like
Oh, yeah?
this. He wants to like expand.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, second last question. If you can have any artist, dead or alive, perform at your wedding, who would it be?
Any artist, dead or alive, perform at my wedding, who would it be? Bob Marley.
Oh, cool.
My wife's Jamaican Asian.
Oh, sick.
So I think that would be like really cool for me, the kids, and her.
Cool. Yeah. I dig it.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Bob Marley like kept us sane because our kids, they like, when we were doing car trips, and we put on Bob Marley, they would stop crying right away.
Before you said that, I thought you meant like Bob Marley kept you guys sane.
Oh yeah,
and, so even the music,
that too. Definitely still does that. But no, like the musician, like if he was to perform, like it'd be dope. Bob
That's
Marley,
cool.
Yeah. Because I think the kids. By the way, we did go to Jamaica once when we had the one kid just chased.
So you did, you fucking liar.
I did, but like,
you fucking liar just told me.
But like we had one kid, and he was like 6 months old, and we were able to.
Okay, so how was it?
Inclusive vacation. Man, sorry. Fuck, it's been so long. 4.5 years.
Do I have to fact check this whole podcast
with
your wife?
Kid, by the way, with one kid, you can do it though. Huh?
Okay, so with one kid, you have 5 minutes to tell me about it.
Okay,
how was it?
It was amazing.
Okay, it was easy.
It was easy because we had the one, not three.
Okay,
and he was like 6 months old, and you know he slept on the plane,
crying
3 hours. No. I mean, he cried a little bit on the way back, the last like 20 minutes, but I noticed like the plane was pretty forgiving. Like,
yeah, for me, I get scared. Like, it's more of a internal thing. Like,
you get self-conscious.
Yeah, like I don't know. People could be ruthless a bit. I don't know.
But no, people, I think they understand like this is not in your control. And it wasn't like ridiculous.
Okay.
It was just like a little upset at the last 20 minutes of our flight.
Okay.
Whatever.
And then when you were in Jamaica, was it?
He was amazing.
But what could you guys do if you can't obviously like be in the sun all day? Like, is it an umbrella? Like, what was the atmosphere?
Yeah, we go under those like straw things, but he'd be in the sun a little bit. Like she put the sunblock on him. We'd be like in the ocean, in the pool, like. But it was more like he got along with everyone on the resort. He tasted yogurt for the first time, and he'd be like, yay, like scream for the yogurt. It was actually funny. He looked like a fiend screaming for whatever, but he loved like, and then we just introduced him like fruits and yogurt, like all this fun stuff, and it's good memories. You know,
nice,
he had a lot of fun. He doesn't remember it, but
of course,
he's like 6 months.
Memories for you guys, at least.
I show him though. You know, like, you were in Jamaica, and by the way, you are Jamaican, so
that's really cool.
We're gonna go back, and he's like looking forward to that. So hopefully this winter we do it. You know,
awesome.
Yeah, but I don't recommend it unless you only have one. Like just looking back, like we didn't know we were gonna have 2 or 3. So.
Okay, so I'll end it with one last question then. How it was more of like you wanted 3? Did you plan to have 3?
I didn't plan to have any.
Okay, but you had 1. Then the other 2, they're not twins, obviously.
No,
so
13 months apart.
Why did you have more than 1 kid?
Stupidity. No, but I think my wife and I, another reason why we get along well is we like life by the whim.
Okay.
Meaning like we're not overthinking, we're not planning, like we're just kind of going with the flow.
Okay.
As we did in our relationship. So I think once we sort of had the one and obviously kept it, we're always, I think, open to having a second to create a friend for him.
Okay.
And then it happened.
Okay.
I think at 2, she wanted to be done, but I hadn't done the snippage yet, you know? So I'll never forget it. I was at Home Depot, like shopping for a fridge for the basement or something that we just finished. And she calls me up and she's like, I'm pregnant again. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
I got to return this.
We just, literally. It's like, fuck, budget again.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And then like, you know, at that point, I'm like, we kept the first. We may as well keep the third.
Sure.
And she's like, all right, fine, whatever. So we had the third reluctantly. She realized it was a girl and was like, at first she's like, what is this? Some like cruel prank that God's playing on me? I wanted it to be a third boy. Now she's like obsessed with the girl. She loves the fact she had a girl. I'm like, I knew you would.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be like homies. You're going to be able to relate on everything. You know, it's good to balance it all out. But yeah, no. So it was not planned, honestly. But after the third, she's like, that's enough. So mandated the snippage.
So you did it?
I did it.
In 1 minute, can you tell me what, did it hurt? What is?
No.
Okay.
Psychologically, it's like, the hardest part is like, as a man, like you're like hearing like snip, snip, and like you're not under, right? You're just
you're not.
No, you're just like looking up, you're hearing music. They freeze all that shit, whatever, and then you just like hear the snipping.
Okay.
So I think like psychologically, you're like, oh, this is like really weird.
How long did it take the surgery to do?
Like 15 minutes.
Did it hurt to get yourself numbed, like anesthetically?
No.
It didn't hurt for them to inject something, I'm guessing, into your penis?
No, it was like a split second of like a needle, but it didn't hurt. And then like, just boom, you freeze right away. It comes back 10, 15 minutes later. Then you're just like, you don't want to look, right? You're just like, this is like really weird. And you're just like trying not to look. You're staring at a ceiling. You don't feel anything, but you just hear like snip, 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 whatever. Like it's a bunch of snips. And then afterwards you're like, damn, that just happened. And then like, you feel a little like, you're like, your mind's like, what the fuck, like what just happened? So you feel like a little queasy. So you have to like wait like 20, 30 minutes so you don't like pass out.
It's reversible, isn't it not?
It is, but apparently that's like hard and not fully effective. Like you can, but you do want to sort of know that you're not going to want anymore when you do.
Okay.
And I like, my wife pushed out 3 kids in 4 years. Like, I'm like, I sort of joked like, why don't you get your tube tied? Why do I got to do that shit? And she's like, are you fucking crazy? I just pushed 3 kids out
Pack
of
your
my
bags,
fuck.
buddy.
Like, I'll do it.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, David, thanks for coming on, man. That was really sick.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good. Just hearing you out and stuff. So I appreciate you, man. Thanks again.
Yeah.
Shout out to Graham. Sick podcast studio, man. Love it.
I love it.